What went into the decision that started last week to kind of go to Jair, Rasul, and talk to him about, hey, who do you want to cover? And obviously you're pleased with how that played out.
Yeah, it was just something that we, I think anytime you do those things, you got to get the players, feel and the players. Both those guys, I think comfort is the wrong word because both those guys are, just the way they're wired. But it was just something we reached out to them early in the week, and Coach Gray does a great job overall, but especially in situations like that, just talking to the player, getting the players feel, getting their approach, and then obviously streamlining it into the game plan. So, but those guys did a heck of a job, obviously, all week with the plan and then going and executing it.
How common is that to kind of put the onus on the player, give them the option, I guess, to, how are you feeling, what do you want to do? Is that something that happens?
I think that's just, it's everyone's everyone has different philosophies. I think, and I think I've mentioned that in here before, I think it's at least the way I like dealing with players and the coaches is I think it can't just be, hey, this is what we're doing, let's go. I think it's gotta be, you gotta allow your players to talk to each other. Obviously we as coaches talk to each other, but then you gotta get that collaboration from the players and the coaches. And I think when you have great communication and great collaboration from player to coach, coach to player, and then you obviously come up with the plan and you go full steam ahead. But that's always been my philosophy is, it's, hey, what do you guys think? Then you got to make a decision and go full steam ahead. But I think anytime that you can, I'm a firm believer, those guys are out there. Those guys are the guys experiencing it. They're doing it. So you gotta listen to them and get their feel and get their approach and get their input. That's just the way I've always believed, in coaching.
Joe, how much of their willingness to go to you and you guys having these dialogues led to, just the difference in how you guys are playing defensively?
Yeah, I just think it's, I think we have that that's just I think that's our overall culture, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but just kind of in our building. I think our players feel very comfortable and they're never, out of line or vigilante, but I think they feel that they can always, at least come to us with their ideas and their thoughts. And like I said, I think it's important from a player to coach or coach to player that you got to have that collaboration and you got to be able to, as a coach, you got to be able to say, no, this is what we're doing. Okay, I appreciate your thought, I appreciate your input, but this is the direction we're going. But you also have to be able, and they have to feel that and see that and trust that as the player to be able to say, you know what, I went to, Joe B or Coach Gray or Coach Montgomery and, I said something and they were like, they listened and they agreed. I think when you have that, then you have, collaboration leads to great things. So, but like I said, I don't think that was a one-time thing last week. I think that's just the way we operate, and that's kind of our overall philosophy and culture.
You obviously know Jared really well. Is this the best you've seen him play since, I don't know, since he's been in the league?
Since I went to the Super Bowl with him?
Yeah, that too.
I have a ton of respect, and we're friends. We're buddies. We had four great years together in LA, and I've seen Jared play at an elite level, and he's playing very good right now. They're not turning the ball over, which I think is a sign of any really good offense and quarterback. I'm almost positive the last interception he threw was against us. However long ago that was, 6 or 7 weeks ago. So I think they only have 3 turnovers total in the last 8 games. So I think those are all things that go into, you can see that a quarterback's playing well when you have statistics like that. So he's got a great group around him. He's got a lot of skill. arguably one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in football. So I got a ton of respect for Jared. Jared's a really, really, really great quarterback, and so I'm not surprised that he's playing this well.
Hey, Joe, when you look at the turnovers, these last 2 games, and obviously this last one, it was all the safeties. Being able to get it across the board with so many different people contributing to that,
Yeah.
What do you think that does for the psyche of a defense too, where it isn't, just 1 or 2 guys? It's safeties, corners, Devontae.
I think, I use the word a lot, morale, in any group team setting, when morale's high, good things happen. And, specifically defensively, when you're taking the ball away at a positive clip, it builds instant morale. And I think to allude what you're saying is that it's not only one guy or one room. Everyone's getting involved in the takeaway party, and it's great, and it's just gotta, it's something. I talked to you guys early on when they weren't coming, takeaways, at least our approach, it's something that we focus on and talk about every single day. We talk about tackling and taking the ball away. Our players see that, they hear that, we rep that every single day. And I take my hat off to our guys because they kept believing in it, they kept practicing in it, they kept, and we were close a couple games, and we got to keep the trend going just by playing hard and playing fast and playing physical, because if you do those things, a lot of times the takeaways come. So it's been great to see, and it's of course it fuels that morale and that energy, and it's been fun.
As great as the takeaways are, you guys haven't been giving up explosive gains on the back end really in the last 3 halves since the first half in Miami. It sounds like the DBs have been kind of putting the onus on making sure they're seeing the coverages all the same way. How much do you kind of give it to them and say, make sure you guys are talking amongst yourselves and making sure that you're seeing this all the same picture here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right there that you said with the word talk, I think, there's no, every position group is important. And, I think on the defensive side of the ball, communication in the back end, that group especially, they have to be on it. It's very similar to an offensive line on the offensive side of the ball. Not to say any other position group, communication and talking amongst each other is important, but in the back end, in the secondary, it's vital. And again, it goes back to Jerry Gray and Ryan Downard and the job that they do with those guys, because when they're on it and when they're communicating and they're on the details of it, you can see what the results have been. So communication is at utmost importance everywhere on the defensive side of the ball, but specifically in the back end.
Are you blitzing less of late?
No, I think, we pick our spots. We try to go into every game, and we definitely have, pressure packages and blitz packages. I think from a percentage standpoint, I think we're about normal if you look at our overall self-scout. But kind of what I talk to you guys all the time, every game plan is subtly different. And then within the course of a game, a game plan can subtly change. So, but I would say that we're probably right about, where we always are. We're right about average.
Yeah, I just went over the last handful of games, and maybe if you've done anything differently defensively as far as play calling or what you're asking the guys.
Well, also when you look at specifically the last 2 games, really, even if you go back to 3 of the last 4 games, when we played Chicago 4 games ago, that was a unique situation because of the quarterback that we played, so that was a very, unique game plan. Then you skip ahead to 2 games ago when we played Miami, they got those, 2 cheetahs at wideout that, you had to be pretty specific and pretty calculated with what you did. And then obviously with 18 last week. So like I tell you guys all the time, every single game and every, you have your philosophy, you have your core beliefs, you have your things that you do. But then, you know, every single game plan's unique and special to itself, you know, so.
Jair was really in Alexander's, guys, twice I've done that. Jair was really in Jefferson's face. You know, a lot of quick jam is, again, is that something you want to see more of, or again, is that just a game by game?
Again, I think it's, you know, we tried to do that quite a bit too, also with, you know, the two guys in Miami as well. I think anytime that you have, you know, an elite receiver, especially you know, such a down the field threat, you know, you talked about explosion plays earlier. You know, I think the more times you can beat those, and we're at a disadvantage in the NFL because, you know, we can only hit those guys before 5 yards, you know, so I think it was a little bit game plan. I think it was a little bit just mindset that, you know, we weren't going to let 18, you know, get started, and meaning started off the line when the ball was snapped. And, you know, we tried to get hands on them and beat them up, you know, as much as we could.
Did Jair spend any time last week teaching you the gritty, or is that just something he pulled out on his own?
I can do the gritty, you know. I'm not going to do that right now, but I thought that was Ja's a character. But you know what? I think we all, you know, enjoy Ja, and you know, he's colorful and he's a funny guy. But I tell you what, as a competitor, I mean, he is. I'd go down a dark alley with Jair Alexander any day, you know, having my back, because he gets after it. And when those lights come on and the ball snapped, he's exactly what you want from a mindset standpoint. And you know, it's cool that he has fun with it, you know, with the things that he does, you know, sometimes during the game, but post game. But he's as detailed and wired in as a competitor as I've ever been around.
What did you think when he said that week one what Jefferson did was a fluke? What was your reaction?
Yeah, I thought, you know, a week ago standing here, I thought you guys were going to bring that up with me, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to have to, you know, respond to that. But you know, I think you know, every single man in that locker room as an NFL football player, they've gotten to the most elite level of their profession, and every single guy has a unique way that, you know, he has to challenge himself and motivate himself. And you know, I think Josh sometimes, you know, says things just so he knows, hey, this is what's going on this week. And you know, sometimes I'm like, oh God, I can't believe he said that. But you know, whatever guys need to, you know, to get it going and crank it up. So, but I tell you what, he backed it up, and he's been playing a really good ball.
Against the Vikings, how were you able to keep Dalvin Cook under 50 yards? And, you know, they had to make changes at center and right tackle. Did that help you win any battles on the line?
Yeah, you know, I thought our guys up front, the whole group, you know, I thought they played physical, you know, right from the start, really from, you know, the fourth play of the game when they had the ball on the 1 yard line. You know, I think our defensive line and our front, you know, I include, you know, Dre and Quay in that when I say the front. I thought they set the tone early, you know. Now, you know, they had, unfortunately, you know, they lost the center early, then, you know, lost their offensive tackle, you know, a little bit later on Savage's interception. But I thought those guys up front set the tone and the mindset early. And that obviously factored into, you know, number 4 and number 2 having limited yards in rushing.